Well, Rube, it wasn't always the prettiest game in the world. The Eagles got off to a slow start, but they did what they needed to do.
I thought it was pretty.
Did you?
No, when you win, it's pretty. It's not easy to win football games. No, it was. You down 10-0 to. I kept forgetting his name, Garrett Gilbert.
Well, you kept calling him Gail Gilbert.
I did. I kept calling him his dad's name, Garrett Gilbert. You're down 10-0 to a team that's missing a third of its roster. It's not where you want to be. Eagles coming in were 4-40 in their last 44 games, going back to '93 when they were down 10 points at the end of the first quarter. So. But they didn't panic, and I never felt like it got too far away. I mean, you knew they were going to get the offense rolling. You knew Garrett Gilbert was, their game plan was get the ball to Antonio Gibson. I mean, that's really all they had, and it's hard to run against the Eagles, and they didn't make enough plays in the passing game. I never felt like Eagles were going to lose when it was 10-0. It was just going to be a little more difficult than they had hoped.
Sure. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan with Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. 27-17.
Dave hates when my introductory comments are long.
Well, we got to introduce the podcast.
Everyone knows what podcast it is. They wouldn't be listening if they didn't know.
We have to say the sponsorship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But the Eagles moved to 7-7 on the season. Playoff hopes still very much alive. Sure. They don't quite control their own destiny. They might need a little bit of help. But all still ahead of them. A very good shot here to make the playoffs. We have a lot to talk about. We want to talk about Jalen Hurts getting his first chance to start a game since the Giants debacle a few weeks ago. We'll kind of take a look overall at the team and where they are heading into these final three games. We want to mention the defense, talk about some unsung heroes, and then we will have a negativity corner at the end of the game. But let's start with Jalen Hurts. We just
can't help ourselves.
We can't help ourselves. Let's start with Jalen Hurts, though, because this was an extended layoff for him. That game against the Giants a few weeks ago was the worst we've ever seen him play as a professional. So I thought there was a lot riding on this game for him. It felt like that, right? So
it did.
When you see him come out and the interception early, clearly not his fault, kind of a fluky play. Dallas Goedert drops the ball, which is bad enough, and then it somehow hits off his foot, the back of his heel, and ends up in the hands of a defender. That one's not his fault, but the fumble, that was his fault.
Yeah, fumble was his fault. Held onto the ball too long. Lack of pocket awareness. After that, I thought he was great. Mm-hmm. I thought he delivered the ball. It almost seemed like, and he said he said the ankle didn't change the way he played, but it clearly did. He clearly didn't run as much or as explosively as we're used to seeing. 23 days later, it's still an issue, something to keep an eye on. But he threw the ball really, really well, and I thought he saw the field well. He you saw Greg Ward get involved. Goddard, he threw to Miles a couple times. Rager got into, so everyone was involved. He threw for almost 300 yards. That was at 296, maybe.
296.
I was really impressed with. I thought it was a game he needed. Washington's defense isn't awful. They have a decent front. Obviously, they're really banged up, and not banged up, but missing a lot of guys still. But I really liked what I saw from him, and I thought his decision-making was, after the fumble, his decision-making was really good. Coming off that Giants game, and we talked about it on the pod that night, like that was bad enough to make you think, kind of rethink, maybe not draw any conclusions, but it really kind of changes your big picture view of him and his future and how this team might go about that quarterback future. But coming off that and having 3 weeks to sit on it, now he said it wasn't on his mind at all. I don't believe that.
He flushed it a long time ago.
Yeah, he said he flushed it a long time ago. I'm sure it was important to him to bounce back. To have to sit on that game for 3 weeks without playing 23 days, he came back and showed me a lot. No panic when they were down 10-0. No panic after the interception and the fumble. Just stood in the pocket and made throws, and he threw a couple times into some tight windows when there was guys open. For the most part, he saw them. He was 20 for 26. There was at least 2 drops.
Three.
I think there was 3.
Two from Dallas Goedert and one from Kenny Gainwell.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a bad one. Could have been a fumble. But yeah, so 20 for 26, and 3 of the 6 incompletions were.
Now that's not to say he didn't make some bad throw, like the decision to throw in the double coverage to Devontae Smith in the end zone, questionable decision.
I didn't like that. Yeah,
I thought the one deep ball to Devontae was a bad ball, but this is nitpicky, and this is he played a great game. I'm just trying to think through. I thought the one long ball to Goddard was underthrown. Goddard made a heck of a play to come back and get it.
Yeah,
it wasn't a perfect game, but it was a very good game. It was a very good game, and it was the kind of game he needed. And the other element to this, and it's something he'll tell you he doesn't care about, but Gardner Minshew played really well. And I'm not saying that it's like he's fighting for his job, because the Eagles have been very steady with saying that he's the guy, but that plays a role. It does. When you watch your backup go out there and light up a team, even if it's the Jets, that has to be somewhere in your mind.
If you're human, I know he's very focused and all that, but you're a human being. I mean, you have to notice that and be aware of it and want to stake your claim to that position the next time you have a chance to do that. So there was a lot going on. I mean, this is a big game. You're 6-7. If you lose, you're not making the playoffs.
You're cooked. Yeah.
Now, if you win, you have a chance, good chance. But if you lose, it's over. So that's a lot on and I think we talked about this during the week, and I wrote it, that we're going to learn a lot about Jalen Hurts from how he responds, and he responded great. And he showed me a lot. And this is the first game he's really won. I mean, they ran for a ton of yards, but it's the first time he's thrown for a lot of yards in a long time.
They had 519 yards of offense.
Yeah, only the 8th time in franchise history they've had 235 yards, both rushing and passing, in the same game. Needless to say, they're 8-0 in those games.
Yeah.
So when
I was rooting for one more yard.
520?
And do you know why?
I don't.
Because 519 ties the Doug Peterson regular season high, but with one more yard, this would have been the most yards in a game since the Super Bowl.
I remember that game.
Yeah.
I
vaguely remember it, yeah.
I'm going to go off topic real quick. How often do you think about that game, that day?
Not that often,
really?
Honestly, yeah.
You don't go to bed just
No,
daydreaming
I
about?
No.
Dreaming about BG's strip, sack?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I don't.
So it's just me?
It's just you. You and BG.
No, I sometimes I just marvel at the impossibility of everything. Just everything that happened that year from Carson. Oh my God!
You did that to yourself.
From Carson Palmer.
Nah.
Yeah, Carson Palmer had a similar injury.
To who?
To the Eagles quarterback. Mm-hmm. I was just talking about Carson Palmer.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was Johnny Carson, actually. It was Karnak the Magnificent. Anyway, very, very pleased with Jalen Hurts and the conditions. Coming off the Giants game, must-win game, against and down 10-0. So there was a lot to like about it.
Yeah. And you know what else I liked? And this is a little off script here, but we didn't have it planned. Nick Sirianni called a heck of a game.
He really did.
He didn't just rest on the bye week. He was adding some wrinkles to this offense, and there were some good ones.
Yeah, I thought they should have gone for it on 4th and 4, but
or in the first half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But be that as it may, this is a top 10 offense now. They're up to number 10 in the league in offense after today.
They ran so many different personnel packages.
Yeah.
I mean, they were in 12, they were in 13, they ran 21. And the way they were using their backs in the 21 was really fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw Darius Slay get an offensive snap that he will never stop talking about.
You give Nick Sirianni 23 days, he had 16 days, 23 days as far as Jalen, but you're seeing him grow as a play caller. And, to have a top 10 offense in the league in your first year as a play caller, your first year as a head coach is really something. And
earlier this year, we were talking about taking away play calling duties from him. That's how bad it was.
It was that bad. And they're one of the best offenses in the league since week 8. I mean, I haven't crunched all the numbers, but they're in the top 2 or 3. And when you can throw the ball like they did, and again, look, I understand Washington's banged up and missing a lot of guys, but when you can throw it like this and run it like this, we know they can run it like this. That's the number 4 rush defense in the league, missing guys. But to run it without Landon Dickerson, with your 4th right guard of the year.
But they got most of their D-line back.
Yeah, they did.
You know, I mean, they were missing some guys in secondary. Tim Settle, he cleared COVID, but he was inactive. I guess he got here too late. I don't know. But, I mean, they had most of their line back. You would think that they'd be able to stop the run, and they couldn't.
They couldn't, and they just kept chipping away. Like, Miles was getting 3-4 yards a pop. And as the game went on, and this is what I love about running the ball, and this is what when people talk about it's a passing league, they wore Washington down running the ball. And then by the third quarter, those 4-yard runs were turning into 11-yard runs and 13. And then you spring a fresh Jordan Howard on them. Yeah. With the Giants coming up in 5 days, it made sense. You don't want Miles to have 25 carries and then play 5 days later. I thought Nick called a beautiful game, and he really has. I mean, they score a lot of points. Or they have 27 today. I thought might be a little more than that. But what was my prediction? I think I predict 27-9 or so. I don't know.
I don't remember them.
You don't remember my prediction?
You want me to remember them all?
I'm gonna look it up. But you look at some of the other rookie head coaches, and
they already outlasted one.
He's already outlasted one, and I mean Brandon Staley's the only one who's got more wins. Mm-hmm. He's got a veteran 30-year-old. Really good quarterback. He's playing really well. He's obviously a lot more experienced. So they're in a different place developmentally as a franchise than the Eagles are right now. I mean, I'm really impressed. Yeah.
So they're 7-7 right now. This is the nature of the NFL right now that we're going to talk about playoffs with them being 7-7, but they're in the mix. I mean, they really are, and they'll need some help from the Vikings. Right now, the Vikings are in that last spot. And they have the tiebreaker advantage. The Eagles have the tiebreaker advantage over New Orleans. So as long as the Eagles keep winning, they won't have to worry about New Orleans. But they will need some help from the Vikings, who have a couple tough games coming up. They have Rams, even though the Rams will be coming off a short week. And then they have Packers and then Bears, which, hey, isn't a given. It's not like
that Bears offense, I mean, they're capable of exploding for 8-9 points at any.
I mean, it's not like they blew the doors off the Bears. On what was that, Monday?
It was it was yesterday.
Football every day really throws me off.
You know what's funny is there's a game in 2 days, but it's next week. It's really strange. And there was a game 5 days ago, and it was this week. Minnesota, where is that? So they have the Rams home, and then they're at Green Bay. Mm-hmm. So
that's a tough game for the Rams coming off a short week. They're still dealing with COVID stuff, but that's still not an easy game for the Vikings.
Yeah. So, I mean, if that's your competition, I'll take it.
Yeah, and you look at what the Eagles are going to face. I mean, nothing's a given. They're not guaranteed to beat anyone. We saw that a couple weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when they lost to the Giants, and they're going to play that Giants team again, but without Daniel Jones. We'll see if it's Jake Fromm or the neck.
Jake from State Farm.
Yeah. It's obviously a very winnable game. Washington, the following week, I assume will be more competitive. They'll have likely Heineke at quarterback. So they'll be a better team, and that's down there. That's a tough game. But then last week of the season, who knows at that point what the situation will be. But winnable games here, all of them winnable.
Yeah, and competitive is an interesting word because I think they'll be a better team, but they were competitive. I thought Ron Rivera did everything he could with what he had to, I mean, they kind of ran out of steam. They ran out of just juice, but I thought he really did he's a really good coach, great guy. They didn't have much, and they were in the game until, middle of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, no, that's fair, and you'd imagine that's going to be another tough game. But they were in the game, but it never felt like, once the Eagles got a lead, I never thought it was really in jeopardy.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. Yeah, but still, it was a little close for comfort
at times. Yeah. And especially they made it 20. They cut it to 3 points.
Yeah,
but even then, it just didn't feel like they were going to lose this game.
It was a little uncomfortable at 2017. But that was a great drive, and Jalen was huge on that drive. Mm-hmm. And both Jalen's were. Rager had the one catch, and
And Hurts checked to that play, by the way.
Yes, he did.
Which is impressive.
Yeah. There's so much to explore in Valley Forge and Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. Montgomery County is composed of many charming little towns and main streets, each with its own personality, style, and unique vibe. Whether you're looking to get away with your family or enjoy a special trip with friends, leave behind the stress of planning and use our guide to find some of the most amazing things to do. Explore which town and which main street suits you the best, or visit every single one of them. Visit makeitmainstreet.com to plan your getaway today.
So, Rube, 519 yards of offense, 238 on the ground. It's unbelievable. And this is now without the left guard. They're down to Su Opeda at left guard.
And without the
Nate
right
Herbig
guard.
at right guard.
And he's their third right guard, really.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
It is. I think Stout deserves so much credit. Nick does for sticking with the run. Miles does, certainly, and Jordan Howard do for finding the holes and both running really well, which they have consistently. It's the whole thing, and I think having Jalen and the threat of him kind of makes you hard. But I think it's the O-line, and it just tells you how good Mulata, Kelsey, and Lane are when you have two real deep backups at the two guard spots, and you're still running for 230 some odd. And I mean, the stats are unbelievable. They're the first team in 36 years to rush for 175 yards in. It's funny. I looked at one point. I'm like, well, they're not going to get their 175, and it was like the third quarter, and they already had 185. I don't even know how. But first team, but only the ninth team ever to rush for 175 yards in 7 straight games, and it's their 5th game over 200 yards this year, which is the 3rd most in franchise history.
Yeah. And it's number 1 in the NFL this year, which is crazy to me. Second on the list, the Colts with 4. They have a pretty good running back. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Yeah. Over the last 4 weeks, Miles has the 2nd most rushing yards in the league behind Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, they have the most 200-yard rushing days in the league this year. They didn't run the ball for a month.
It's unbelievable. I mean, they did early in the season. They had like 175 against the Falcons.
But there was a month where they didn't run the ball.
There was a month where they didn't run the ball. And they're still averaging 164, I think they're up to per game.
It's unbelievable. And I guess there's 2 ways to look at it. One is like, what the hell were they doing during that month? The other way is you give credit, because this is clearly not the way Nick Sirianni saw this offense performing.
No.
And he's changed it, and now they're a run-first team. And maybe it's not like stylistically what they wanted. Maybe it's not what the franchise wants. I know everyone worries about what the owner thinks and what he wants, but it's working. They're winning.
And let me say one thing about that. The whole notion that Lurie's pissed they're running the ball, it's not the case. Lurie believes that to have sustained success in the NFL, in the modern NFL, you need a high-powered passing game. Like they had today. They threw for 300 yards. That doesn't mean you don't run the ball. It doesn't mean that if you have really good matchups, you don't take advantage of them. So, I mean, it's 2 very, very different things. And I think they're both true. I mean, you do need to be able to throw the ball to win games, especially against good teams, especially in the playoffs. And there's going to be a time where they're not running for 175 yards a game, and they're going to need to make plays in the passing game. And Nick's talked about that. So Jeff Lurie's not sitting up in the owner's box, lamenting that they ran for 234, 236 yards, whatever it is.
36.
238. 238 yards. They outrushed them 238 to 63.
Yeah.
So you combine a really good run defense with the ability to run the ball. That gives you time of possession. I mean, it wears down the other defense.
They won that 35, about 35 to 25.
And they've been doing that almost every week.
Yeah,
they've been. That goes along with running. When you run for 230 yards, you're going to win time of possession by 10 minutes. You just are. Really, really something to see the evolution of this offense. And you're right. Like, I mean, wasn't there one game where they had 3 carries? I think
Miles had 3.
Miles had 3, but they only had like 7 as a team. I think Jalen had a couple.
Yeah.
To go from that, now I don't think there's any games they would have won. Maybe San Francisco, like they weren't going to beat the Bucks. They weren't going to beat the Raiders.
But it could have changed so much. Like, you just don't know.
They weren't going to beat the Chiefs. We're going to beat the Bucks. But the important thing is that he did make the adjustments before it was too late. And maybe if it cost them a game, he's really seen the light. And I thought today was the ideal mix of run and pass. And
I agree with that. And maybe honestly some of that is Jalen being hobbled.
Yeah. I was thinking about that.
Forcing him to stay in the pocket.
Kind of a poor man's Donovan against Arizona.
Yeah. I always think back to that game. But it's like, I thought that there were moments, and he'll never admit it, but I thought there were moments in this game where normally he takes off.
I thought so too.
And he's kind of forced to. And he was actually moving better than I expected in a lot of ways. Based on what I saw, it was almost a week ago, but at that Thursday practice, I thought he was really hobbled. And he was still limited. He didn't have. You're right. He didn't have the same explosion, but there were moments where I was like, okay, like this is good.
Yeah, and he's really tough. I don't know if he gets enough credit for that. I mean, his ability down at the goal line to get in. He's got 10 touchdowns rushing.
Yeah.
So people talk about, well, he's only got whatever. What's he got? I don't know how many passing touchdowns, but you got to add those 10 onto those. Only the 5th Eagle all time with 10 touchdowns rushing in a season, and I believe the 9th quarterback in history with 10 rushing touchdowns. So, and there's 3 games left. He might hit 12, and they've got. I mean, they're closing in on some team records as far as rushing touchdowns and rushing yards as well. It's funny when you do these stats and it's like the most since 1948, 1949. I mean, think how different the game was back then. I mean, when we did our podcast back in the 40s, like we didn't have these fancy microphones. I don't think we even had laptops yet. We didn't have these lights. We didn't have the backdrops.
The town scribe would come and write down what you were saying.
Yeah, we had Bartleby the Scrivener like doing our podcast. Yeah, it's fun watching. It's fun watching them run because the O line is. I mean, the one Miles run when Kelsey was like, and the shot was so funny because he's like, it's just like looks like this. Like he looked like a sprinter. He was out in front of Miles 40 yards down the field. It was incredible. This is a 34-year-old center with foot, ankle, knee issues playing.
He was moving.
He was motoring.
And then Miles didn't follow the block.
No, he didn't follow the block, but it didn't even matter because it was so much fun watching Kelsey.
I mean, it was. I don't think people realize how good Jason Kelsey is. And that might, maybe in this city people do, but I don't even know if this city people realize how dynamic a player he is. It's tough to be that dynamic from the center position.
Yeah. And that's why I think he's a Hall of Famer. He's really played the game in a way that no one else ever has.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, it used to be that you would put like, some 330-pound, kid at center and, he'd block some people on the line of scrimmage. But yeah, he's so athletic at that position and so versatile. It was interesting hearing him talk about just what goes into snapping the ball and then getting your hands in position to block. Mm-hmm. Like that's something I'd never thought about. He talked about that. Yeah. I guess it was Thursday or Friday. So yeah, he's and I'll be surprised if he doesn't make his 5th Pro Bowl tomorrow.
He better.
Yeah, he better, or there's going to be hell to pay, Dave.
Yeah, and that play was just so much fun to watch. Gosh.
Yeah.
40 yards downfield.
Yeah.
All right, let's flip to the other side.
Yeah.
Defense, some sketchy moments against Garrett Gilbert that you'd like to see them not have.
Yep.
But on a positive note, and I know he was facing a backup right guard because Brandon Scherf was out, and that does change things. Fletcher Cox looks like December Fletcher Cox. And if they get that guy down the stretch, watch out.
Yeah, he played great. I've been really critical of the D-line because they don't get a lot of sacks. They only had 2 today. but I thought they pressured really well. It's funny because if this defense could get some turnovers and sacks, they'd be unbelievable. I mean, they've held, the last 5 of the last 7 teams to 18 or fewer points. Yeah. And even the Saints game, I mean, they just scored a bunch at the end.
They got. I know they didn't have the sacks, but they got some really consistent pressure.
Well, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
I mean, there was another one where Gilbert tossed. He should have taken a sack. He tossed the ball backwards.
Yeah. No, I have no complaints about the D line. Just in general, I'm surprised that with the pressure they get, they don't get more sacks. Yeah. But overall, I didn't like that last touchdown drive. I agree with you. That was, the first one was a short field, and then the field goal was a short field after the fumble. Mm-hmm. It was just that second touchdown was a little annoying. You kind of had the game at hand. At 20-10. Yeah,
the big play there was the DPI on Avante.
What did you think of that call?
It was a little ticky-tacky. He honestly, it was a bad throw.
That's when you get DPIs on these underthrown
Yeah, it was a bad
balls.
throw. If it's a good throw, it probably looks like good coverage because he's running through the receiver. The receiver is coming back for the ball. Avante didn't swing his head around. I know that's not the rule, but he had to make a play on the ball. It was ticky-tacky.
Yeah. The league's got to do something about underthrown deep balls getting DPIs every time. They got to do something, Dave. They got to legislate.
What are you going to do?
We're going to change the rules.
No, you can't.
You can't it's a penalty to underthrow a ball.
Eagles use some of those too now.
Yeah, no, that's true. But but that drive did. You'd like to see him, get a stop there. But it made it a little hairy. Kind of made me start writing my 10 obs in a different way, just in case. But overall, I really liked the defense today. They give up 230 something yards.
Yeah, you'd like to see them keep them out of the end zone.
Yeah.
On that first drive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and the one big play, the McLaurin play was, it
happens.
It happens. He's a great player. I thought Slay
had good coverage on it.
He was right there.
Yeah, he had a chance. And Slay will tell you he has to make that play.
And Gilbert was a little better than I expected. He just... Considering,
a little bit.
There
were some really bad moments too.
There were some really bad moments, but there were more good moments than I anticipated.
Yeah, okay. For a guy that got there Friday.
Guy got there Friday. He was on the Patriots a week ago today. Yeah. And he came in and he battled. I thought he might throw 3 interceptions. Mm-hmm. He protected the ball. I thought he played as well as he could have, considering he probably didn't even know the names of the guys he was throwing to.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
There were guys out there he hadn't met because they were in protocol.
That's true.
So, but you hold a team to 17 points, you'll take that.
Yeah, and you're probably going to win.
Yeah, I like the way they're playing against the run. I think they gave up something like. I haven't updated. It was something.
And they gave up a few chunks early, and you thought, I don't know.
Yeah, and Gibson had like a 5, a 6, and then a 5 early, and I think he ran for 3 yards after the first quarter.
Yeah, he got banged up too.
Yeah, he hurt his foot, but he came back.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you can,
I wonder if they'll have McKissick back for the next game.
I would think so.
That might change things a little bit.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Yeah,
he's a good player. That's a tough game down there. It's going to be a different team, but we have a few days before, not that many. That's in 12 days. But overall, I thought the defense. I thought T.J. Edwards played another really good game.
Yeah, he had that one pass breakup on third down, that diving effort. That was a really great play.
Yeah,
he's just solid. I think there was one he kind of got. I think it was him. He kind of got undressed by Gibson out in the left flat, but it's a tough play for him to make. He's just a steady player, he's
a thumper.
Gosh, you use that a lot. He's there.
Gotta channel my inner Kotite.
He's in the right
a thumper,
spot.
Dave.
He's in the right spot all the time. He just is.
He's a badger.
He is a badger.
He's a thumper and a badger. Yeah. Anybody else stand out on defense to you? Hassan Ridgeway made some plays for the first time.
Hassan Ridgeway did make some plays.
First time since opening day. He was due.
Barnett had
Had what?
He had a QB hit that.
Did he?
On a play that forced a bad incompletion.
Okay.
Oh, Teron Jackson had a big play.
Yeah, a couple. Yeah.
Tackles for loss in back-to-back games for Teron Jackson.
Yeah, he's the first rookie 6th-round pick with tackles for loss in back-to-back games since. I don't know.
Yeah, I figured once you got that deep, and I was like, he doesn't actually have it.
But just that the fact that he's in a rotation as a rookie 6 that's pretty good, and he's active. He's around the ball. Yeah. That's good to see. Hey, score big with the AAA Eagles MVP membership, along with the superb roadside assistance and discounts you've come to expect from AAA. Get exclusive Eagles-related perks. For all the details, visit AAA.com/Eagles. It's the Nissan year-end sales event with last chance offers you want to hang on to. Shop your local Nissan store or visit nissanusa.com. Better hang on to those deals before they slip away.
So before we get to the negativity corner, how about some unsung heroes? Because there are a lot of different guys that kind of got in the mix tonight. And we just mentioned one of them, Teron Jackson, who's starting to make some plays for a 6th-round pick. I mean, a 6th-round pick from Coastal Carolina to be making plays in a crucial game is a good sign. Who else you got?
How about Jake Elliott making his 16th and 17th straight field goals?
Yeah. Jinxes aren't real, people.
No, why do people you're going to jinx them? Do people really think what we say in a podcast affects what happens in the game?
Yeah, well, I tweeted that he made his 17th in a row. Like Jake's on the sideline reading Twitter.
Yeah. There are no jinxes. I always put my
I
always put my
the
piano comes down. I always put my left sock on first.
We've talked about him a ton. He's playing so well right now.
He's got a shot at the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll make it, but he warrants consideration. And that you need a kicker if you're going to be a playoff team.
No, that's true. We've seen him kick at a high level in the postseason.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
I'll give you Jalen Reagor. And look, it's still kind of an adventure with him in the return game. They took kick returns away from him. He still has punt returns with varying levels of pulling out your hair, but he made a couple big plays in the pass game today.
Hold your breath with him.
Yeah. But, I mean, maybe we've talked about him before, and I think a lot of it's a confidence issue. Maybe a couple of these plays on offense will help him. The fact that Jalen Hurts checked to that play for him in a big situation.
It was a career high in receiving yards with 57.
Yeah.
He had 55 in his first game ever, opening day last year. And that 34-yarder was his longest play this year. And I thought, he had that play down to the I guess the 8-yard line.
Yeah.
No, the 2-yard line. Yeah, where he could have gotten in. But
probably should have. Because they had a hat for hat out there. And
yeah.
You'd like to see him get in.
But it's just good to see him catching the ball. And I know people get on him. It was nice to see after the one big play, he got a really nice ovation. I thought that was really cool.
Was that a real ovation?
No, I think it was.
A Ben Simmons hit a free throw ovation?
No, hit a three hit a free throw or played or whatever. But no, I thought it was genuine. And because the thing about Reagor is, as bad as he's been, he works hard. I mean, he's not like out there dogging it, and he kept fighting and it paid off, and I give the guy credit for that. I will give you Greg Ward, 3rd touchdown of the year on four catches. Yeah. Almost got in on another one down the right sideline. It's not easy when you don't get targeted. There's been games he doesn't get targeted. There's been games he doesn't. I think. Was it the Giants game he didn't have any reps on offense? Or the Jets game? One of them.
Yeah.
To be ready and to be mentally ready, physically ready when your number gets called is not an easy thing when you're in that situation. Yeah. And he always is. He always is ready. And look, I get that he's not the fastest guy out there, but he catches the ball most of the time. And he has a nose for the end zone too. And I feel like they could have used him more this year. It's been Devontae and Goddard so much, but that was one of the really nice things about this game today was that he involved new guys, different guys, and they came up big. And Ward, I mean, I've always been a fan of Ward just because of his story. And I mean, the guy was on the practice squad. I mean, we know the whole story about converting from quarterback, and it took him a while to learn how to play wide receiver. And he didn't play for a couple of years, and since he started, he's done everything they've asked him to do. So he's my unsung hero.
I'll give you one more.
Yeah,
Sua Opeta. And I'll have to rewatch to really see how he did. But he couldn't have been that bad because they ran for 238 yards.
That's true.
So you give him credit. Short notice. I mean, he didn't get to practice there. Dickerson went on the COVID list on Sunday. So, you know, it's not like he got any practice time there, and he had to go in and play a full game. And look, I'll have to go back and see how he played. But he couldn't have been that bad because the offense was humming, and he was in there.
I did not see that happening.
Yeah.
238 yards. Yeah.
Negativity corner?
Yeah.
What do you got?
Not a whole lot.
Yeah.
I mean, Goddard, you just can't drop that ball. And I know he had a career high 135, was it, yards?
Yeah. He dropped 2.
He dropped 2, but the one that, and I mean, they're both, I mean, either one could have, I mean, it was a fluky play, but I mean, he even said after the game he was looking down the field. He thought he was going to score. I'm not sure about that. But it would have been like a 65-yard touchdown, but 70-yard touchdown. But you just can't drop that ball, and that's a rookie mistake. And he's in his 4th year, and he's got to be beyond taking his eye off the ball. And, generally that's not going to turn into an interception. It's not going to hit your foot and bounce, to a defender. But if you catch the ball, you don't have to worry about that happening. Sure. So that was a really bad mistake, and it was a costly mistake, and it really put him in a big hole. I mean, they went down and scored. I felt like the defense was I felt like the whole team was in shock there for a minute, and they took them a little while. And look, they hadn't played in a long time. I think they were a little rusty at first, which is understandable. But Goddard definitely in the negativity, although he did overcome it with some big catches.
Yeah, and I mean, career high in his him and Miles Sanders career highs in back-to-back games. Well, almost career highs.
And both 100-yard games in back-to-back games. Yeah. Goddard's the first tight end. Well, Ertz did it a couple times, but only 4 Eagles tight ends have ever had back-to-back 100-yard games. Selleck did it twice. Ertz did it 4 times. Keith Jackson only did it once, which is surprising. He was only here 4 years. And Pete Retzlaff 3 or 4 times. So good company for him and for Miles.
Yeah.
If Miles plays if he ever plays the way over a full season he has the last 4 games, he's a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
He's just got to stay healthy.
And
I like I like that Nick got him out of there. And it's almost like he used Jordan as the closer. And Jordan had almost 60 yards.
And honestly, some of that makes you wonder if they're worried about the fumble issues.
Fair, yeah. He did have one that was down by contact, but it was close. It was close. But yeah, he's just running the ball really well. And I think walking over here from the stadium, I said, I think since he came back from the ankle, from the layoff, 3 games, I feel like he's run more decisively than he ever has in his career. He's not dancing. He's not kind of looking for holes. He's hitting it like he's hitting it, and he's hitting it up the middle, and he's physical, and he's not a finesse back. He's not a guy that needs to go outside and try to break everyone big. I mean, he can run through you. I mean, he's not Jordan Howard, but he can be a physical runner, and I feel like the last 4 games he really has.
Yeah. I'll give you, for the negativity corner, that one series in the first half where they pick up a first down, but Mailata gets called for a holding. Then they decide to punt in plus territory. Then the punt goes into the end zone for a net gain of 21 yards. That whole thing was a mess.
Yeah, you're right. And that's why I would have gone for it there on 4th and 4. It was 4th and 1. Jordan Howard has a nice run for a first down. It turns into a 4th and 4 with the rushing yards for the spot of the spot of the So 4th and 4. I mean, if you don't get it, you got to trust your defense against Garrett Gilbert, and it was a 21-yard net gain. It was a bad punt by your guy.
No, I think the punt was fine. I think the gunner got caught up.
Yeah, I didn't see anybody.
It bounced at the 5-yard line. I think he fell or got like tangled up.
Yeah, I mean, if the whole operation's got to be able to get that ball out of bounds inside the 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, but really not a lot to choose from as far as the negativity.
Yeah, I don't have a ton else, honestly. You know, I thought it wasn't always the cleanest game. There were some moments where you're holding your breath, but they did what they needed to do. I guess that's the other negative. You can say, who'd they beat? You know, who'd they beat? It wasn't even easy for them at times. Who'd they beat? They beat a team that's decimated by COVID with a quarterback who got there Friday. And if you want to take that negative approach to it, I understand that. I think the wise way to take this win is they did what they needed to do. It doesn't really matter who they played. They won a game they needed to win. And I think we're all kind of realistic about what the Eagles are.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us are sitting back saying, oh, they're real contenders. You know, they're going to make a run through the playoffs and we'll see at the Super Bowl. I don't think anyone thinks that. It's just, here's what's in front of them. You have to win these games, and they won one.
I just think there's such a mental block that you have to overcome to win a game like this. When you know you're supposed to, you're heavily favored, it's been postponed, they're missing all these guys. Like, you can't just go out and be up 21-0. You know, you have to do the work to get there. And there's been games that they've blown out teams that I didn't think they were going to blow out. They all just count as one win. Yeah. You know, whether you go to Denver and win 30-13 or you know, win this one 27-17 at home, it doesn't. Look, it doesn't. If they scored 50 tonight, it wouldn't have helped them against the Giants. You know, so I mean, Andy Reid was right when he said, you know, it's hard to win in the NFL. You know, it's hard to win a football game. It is, and they're 7-7, and when you're 2-5, 7-7 is a pretty damn good place to be.
Yeah, it is. If you enjoy the Eagle Eye podcast, please do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button and subscribe there as well. Short week. Not much time to get ready for the Giants, but we'll be back with you later in the week. We'll talk about it. We'll get ready for that one. For Reuben, I'm Dave. This has been Eagle Eye presented by Nissan. We'll talk to you soon.